Greetings all, Raphael X here with another video. Click on the subscribe button, the like button, leave a comment, share this video, all that good stuff. All right, without further ado, let us start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritus Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Ave Maria, sede sapientia, ora pro nobis in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. All right, great. I want to do this video, nice short video, talking about theistic evolution as a possibility in the Catholic realm. Now, it is something acceptable in the magisterium, meaning that evolution can be a possibility when we're talking about the origin of man. Okay, so what's interesting, Father Rippiger, and I'll leave the link below, he did a video talking about how theistic evolution really is philosophically absurd. Because why would God essentially make things imperfect that can become perfected? Because what he makes things in their nature perfect, right? So the perfection that evolution, right, Darwinian evolution talks about, that things are being perfected, would go against that essentially. But what's interesting is that unless I'm understanding Father Rippiger wrongly here, that perfection can take different levels, kind of like the Virgin Mary, she's full of grace. She's full of grace at conception, but she can still increase in grace. So also there's a famous principle that God is not bound to make the absolute best in creation, right? Creation can always be better. So even if it is perfect, it's a relative perfection. So perfection you can be perfect relatively and still grow. Only God is the absolute perfect. So I thought that was an interesting point. Again, if you want to listen to that, I really don't want to address it. It's profound, metaphysical. But I do want to talk about how evolution can be accepted. First of all, as Pius the 10th or the 12th has said, and other popes before, that it is not at all certain. So people treat as evolution as something certain. Now, Benedict XVI did say in an audience, he did say that there are, I have it right here, just so I don't misquote things here. Benedict XVI said, new understandings lead to no longer considering the theory of evolution as a mere hypothesis. That's interesting. But again, this is not saying that evolution is a certainty. In fact, there are scientists in the secular world who find many holes in evolution. There are two huge huge biological jumps with the species. So there can't be there's not explanation for the intermediate species to explain the origins of others. So there's a lot of holes in the evolution theory. So to hold it as certain is definitely not. It's not even scientific, right? Scientific breeds on skepticism. We need to be skeptical. And John Paul II said, this is interesting, we must, however, add, from the standpoint of the doctrine of the faith, we do not see any difficulty in explaining the origin of man through the hypothesis of evolution. Now, how do we understand this? Evolutionists, though, they are basically transformists. The Darwinian evolutionists are transformists, meaning that man in his entirety has descended from an ape-like creature, right? But the only evolution, theistic evolution, that can be possible is not man in his entirety, in his integral being. The only evolution that's possible is evolution of the body. That's it, not of the soul. There's no evolution of the soul. God infuses soul right at the moment of conception, right so when does God infuse the soul? At the moment when there is material that is sufficiently disposed to receive the soul, as Thomas Aquinas would say. So what does that mean? There is a possibility that the body evolved to a point, and then God infused the soul into our first parents when their body was sufficiently disposed to receive it, right? A possibility. But there again, there is no evolution of the entire human body and soul. We are both. We have two. We are both. We're substantially. We're one substance, but we have these two incomplete substances of body and soul. So we are both body and soul. So evolution of the body, the animalistic part, but the rational soul, what makes us in the image and likeness of God, infused directly by God, from God directly. So that's the issue. Um, Basically, transform evolution itself, the word actually is different from transformism. Evolution is not change for change's sake. Evolution, the word in its nominal sense, in its etymology, means the changing for a certain goal, right? So for a certain goal. So could there have been a goal for the sake of man? There could have been. But again, it makes no sense to have evolution of man as body and soul, because I mean, what would it be? It would be a progressive change. So you would be like 20% man, 30% man, 40% man, 50% man. What is that? What is the? How does it jump between 90% to 100%, or even 50% to 100%? What does that look like, right? And because man is infinitely, infinitely different from the other animals in his capabilities, right? Not in his biology. Some animals have more complex biology than man, right? Anatomy. But because man is infinitely different from what he can do, he can know the sciences, he's capable of art, right? He's capable of reflection, he's capable of many more, right, profound things. He's a moral agent. Because of these things, there is a huge evolutionary jump, right? There's nothing that even comes close to man. So this is the first problem with evolution. If evolution were a thing where man in its entirety was evolved, then there seems like there would have to be something that's almost like a man or something close to us, but there's nothing like it, not even close. So that's I wanted to say that. Now, we believe as Catholics in monogenism, not polygenism, meaning that we come from one pair, one monogenism. We are born or we originate from one pair. And monogenism is explained better with the creation, with the creationist account, because the creationist, as in Adam and Eve, were body and soul directly created by God. Now, we are not directly created by God, body and soul. Our body is indirectly created by God because it comes from our parents. But Adam and Eve, and this is my personal belief, as Genesis says, even though we don't take it literal and we don't see how the phenomena happen scientifically, but I think in that sense it's literal. They were um, they were directly created, yes, from pre-existing material, but from the dust, right? From nothingness almost. Well, not from nothingness, but from a being that was not alive, not an ape-like creature, but from the dust, right? Where God made the body, He formed the body. That's my own personal belief, and that's, I think, explains um, the way we find ourselves today, as with, again, nothing that comes near man at all. Now, it's true that the apes and other creatures that exist under animals, they're very much they're genetically close to us, right? But again, there's this huge evolutionary jumps that that render evolution a problem, right? So evolution, again, theistic evolution, that God is guiding, right, the physical, and He could be guiding it to um, the body to the point where it can infuse a soul. That can be a possibility. I don't think it is, but it can be a possibility. So it's not transformism. Transformism is the change of the entire body and soul in man. Now, also evolution can, can be considered in an accidental sense, that that change is accidental, right? We are taller than we were before. We live longer. Maybe the appendix had some use before. Now it has. Last time I checked in the dictionary, the appendix was a organ with no known function. Let me know in the comments if that has changed. They say you don't need your small toe anymore for balance. So yes, there are changes in that sense, right? There are accidental changes, but are there substantial changes? Does one species become another? And what do we mean by species? Right, species is a group. Actually, scientifically, I believe it's defined as a group in which the male and female they can they they produce they produce fertile offspring, fertile offspring. Right? They can mate and they produce offspring that's fertile, not like the mule that's produced from I believe a donkey and a horse. Someone correct me on that, which is produced, but it's not for it's sterile. So a species they can mate and produce fertile offspring. So what is the origin of species? Do species come from other species? And this is the problem here. Are there substantial changes? And no, I believe that each species is directly created by God. And then the species that um, starts to live, right, is changes accidentally. As humans have been the same 500 years ago, 500 years ago, essentially the same. 1,000 years ago, essentially the same. But 2,000 years ago, essentially the same. What has changed? Accidentally, right? The accidents here. All right. Well, I'll leave it at that. Those are my 2 cents. I'm no expert in it. I do teach this in the high school level and in the college level, and but of course, we're all forming ourselves. Our education's ongoing, and as always, we'll be united in prayers. And take care. God bless. Till next time. Bye now.